This computer. Okay, we are now recording. We are connected here to live. All right. So, good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, March the 8th. Thank you for joining us in the Minority Women Freight Brokers, Dispatchers, and Power Only Loads group. My name is Lotta Hawkins. I am the moderator for the group, and today we have a special live with the truckers accountant, Ms. Mysherri Rhoades. And so, hello. How are you today?
Hey everyone, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Lotta?
I'm well, I'm well. I'm trying to make sure we have a good sound check, give a few moments to see if anyone's going to pop in to share that kind of feedback. We have two viewers now, but just want to make sure I could see.
Okay.
So the comments on the live are open. So if you have questions along the way, I can read to her. Just go ahead and post them. So we're going to jump right into it because we want to be good with your time, and thank you for your time during this busy season. Can you tell us a little bit more about your company and how long you've been in business?
Yes. I've been in the finance industry for about 15 years, but actually starting and doing my own thing, it's been about 7 years, going officially on my own, taking that leap about 5 years. And it's been a wonderful opportunity since I've started. I've originally started off doing taxes, not thinking about trucking at all. My husband got into had a trucking company and wanted me to help his trucking buddies out, and I realized that there was this repeat offense that everyone has, is that nothing is together. No one wants to look at their finances. So eventually, I started to help people out, and somehow I became known as the trucker's accountant. And that is what I do. I spend my days geeking out on all things transportation. When I go to tax seminars, I've tried to figure out how I can help my clients to um, save, and how does it fit into helping my clients out.
All right, I just had a comment from the Facebook group saying we might have been on mute, and I am so sorry if so. I was trying to mute myself, not you for sure. So, okay, so she's just saying that she can't hear, and you just said all the good, juicy stuff. So, would you mind repeating that one more time for the folks in back? I've got it off of mute, and let me try to see if I could just mute my microphone because I do have some background noise, trying to avoid that from coming up. Oops, and I have pop-ups too, evidently. All right,
Okay. Is
so she
everyone
was
able
sharing
to
with
hear me?
us. Let's do a quick sound check. If you can hear her now, please let us know.
Let's give a one in the chat box.
Uh, she was on the group live, and so Doris, if you can let us know if you can hear now, if things are sounding better. Like I said, I was trying to mute myself and not her for sure, so I do apologize. um she hasn't mentioned it, but I'm going to probably air, and that's definitely what happened when I pressed myself on mute. It must have been for the entire screen. So if you wouldn't mind kind of starting from the um, she's still saying no, can't hear her. She hasn't said anything just yet, and I'm not sure if that's a little bit of a delay. So if you'll just
Well,
kind
I'll
of
say
reintroduce
something
herself.
first.
Okay,
You
it's still
should be able
saying
to
no
hear me now.
sound. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, why is there no sound? All right. So, why are we not having no sound? So if anybody else can kind of chime in on that, I'm trying to see where else on my end. Okay, I'm gonna try to reconnect it. I am so sorry.
It's okay.
User error, user error. Let's go one more time. It may end up even doing a whole nother pop-up, but let's just see if this solves my sound.
Okay. And I mean, if not, we can just go ahead and do the recording and not do it live.
Okay. And like I said, we could definitely just cut off and edit that. So I'm gonna. Did you want to say your deal again, or how do you want to treat that? Because this is being recorded for sure on Zoom. I just didn't know if you wanted to.
No,
Okay,
it's
why
okay.
is it?
Already said it because with the recording, you'll have it already, right?
Yes, ma'am. So,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna just give me just a few seconds. It's saying it's setting it up. Just want to see if that's gonna give us a totally different room or not, because I do want.
I now see it saying live on Facebook. I didn't see that at first.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. So save it. So let me leave that one. We are still together. Okay. Okay. We'll just continue on. So I do a okay, and yeah, it says live on Facebook now. I did all my usual steps. Okay, we're back. All right, so thank you for sharing the background and the needs of your business. Thank you also for submitting these questions here because I really find that they're going to be very pertinent to our audience of transportation support people. So let's
Mhm.
start off with this first one. What are your recommendations when someone asks you when it's the best time to open up a business bank account?
When best time to open up a business bank account is honestly when you first start in business. And I find that a lot of people, they're hesitant about it. Maybe income is not coming in, you don't have the revenue, you're not necessarily ready to start. Do your research and see if you can get a business account where there isn't any fees attached to it. But you want to make sure that you're having that business account attached to your business as soon as possible. Case in point, we have people who are applying for SBA loans, and they need to prove that um, their business bank accounts were in existence February 2020, and you might have not started your business yet, or you've started it, but you hadn't started that business bank account yet. You're kind of like a hindrance for just simply submitting your bank statements and getting approved for loans that people are taking advantage of right now, just because you didn't take that one step.
Absolutely, and that makes perfect sense. It has to all make sense in that paper trail. So I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but so what do you usually tell people in when they say, "Well, I just started," as you mentioned, I don't have the income, to reflect, but how do you help them get past that objection of, "Well, I shouldn't have to file because I just started my business"?
Well, regardless of if the question isn't you just started, so you shouldn't have to file. The IRS governs says that if you have made any revenue coming in, you should file taxes. So that means that if you have carried a load and someone has paid you out for it, you should file your taxes. Now that's totally different from expenses coming in. IRS is saying filing taxes on your revenue that has come into your business. So it's not a matter of if you feel like it, it's a matter of that is what the requirements are based on the IRS guidelines.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not it's not our rules, it's theirs. So could definitely
I
understand
don't
that.
make the rules. I follow the rules, and I find I find nice ways to make the rules a little bit more smoother for my clients.
Right, and even understandable because I think that might be a frequently misunderstood concept. If I don't have any money, then I don't have to report it here, or that's just let them try to find that later. And those are things you don't really want to do when you're putting your paperwork in order. So, what kind of things do you actually need to get ready in your file in order to for your taxes?
When you are filing your taxes, you want to make sure that you have all of your revenue, all of the income that has come in together. All of your income, all of your expenses. If you have any assets, you need to list that. If you have paid yourself out, you need to let your professional know. If you have paid or had any distributions to your owners of the company, you need to let your accountant know. These are all things that need to be had. In addition to, if you are, this is if you're an LLC, you also need to make sure that you have all of your personal information. So all of that tax documents that comes in at the top of the year that says important tax document, you want to upload that and give that to your accountant. I always tell my clients it's better to give me too much than not enough. Because then you have the back and forth, and if you're not giving your accountant or your tax professional what they need, you're leaving them to play the guessing game and know exactly what's going on with you. And everyone is different, every situation is different. So you don't want to leave that guessing game for someone to help you to pay the least amount of money in taxes. You want to lay everything out on the table. That way, if you're laying everything out on the table, if they need it, if they're in need to jog your memory about something, they can do that. Not I'm having to recreate the whole situation because you were unorganized throughout the entire year, and now you want me to fix it.
Right. You're not the fix it and make believe specialist. You are the trucker's accountant. So on that note, let's talk some specifics about drivers and things that need to be looked at and accounted to that. So let's start off with that big question that everyone has between the W-2 and a 1099. So do you have to issue a 1099 for your drivers?
This is when I tell you that's the huge question. One, do you have to issue a 1099? Yes, if your driver is a contractor, which most drivers for trucking companies are contractors, you have to issue a 1099 for them. And let me tell you why this is extremely important. Because you issuing a 1099, say if you had a driver that drove for you, and you pay that driver out over six figures for the year. You don't issue a 1099, that's six figures worth of expenses that's still on your books. We need to get it off of our books and put it onto that individual so that they are now responsible for their taxes. And you are not responsible for the money and saying, oh, well, this is what I paid out. No, you need to issue that 1099 to that driver, whether it is a EIN to attach to their name or their social security number, but they are responsible for it and not you.
Absolutely, because yeah, you've already paid enough. They are an expense, and that's the
Yes.
beauty of having your business set up correctly, that they are truly a deduction and not something an added expense. So, if for the company drivers, for the drivers themselves, can you deduct any of your meals as you're out and about?
For company drivers, there was a legislation that was passed when Trump was in office. And basically, the legislation says that you are no longer allowed to deduct your meals if you are a company driver. What does it mean to be a company driver? That means if you are a W 2. So, of course, we do have some company drivers. 1099 in trucking, which is there's a whole nother story. It is a loophole that can be accounted for. But if you are someone who receives a W-2, you are not able to track and deduct your meals. If you are a company driver that is a 1099 company driver, you are able to deduct your meals. That's two totally different things. So what the IRS sees you as is that if I'm a 1099, I'm an independent contractor. I'm running my own business as an independent contractor. If I'm a W 2, I am an employee. My employer handles these things for me. You are no longer able to take advantage of that tax benefit. Trump kind of got into office and made the benefits lean towards small businesses, not towards W 2 workers.
Okay, good
And
to
not
know.
saying that it will not change. We have a whole nother president right now. So
This is
things
true.
could change. I don't see it changing in the foreseeable future, considering that we have so many other legislations that are changing and into place because of the COVID virus.
Exactly, exactly. And definitely it won't change for this season that we're working on and everything right now too. So
Right.
possibly in the future, but definitely not today. So
Right.
the advantages once again of having your business set up correctly. So let's ask this final question here about should you get a credit card in order to buy and track fuel?
My suggestion is if you have to get a credit card, um, you can. But I would prefer a fuel card. A fuel card is going to give you more um, flexibility over your drivers, as far as it's going to give you cutting the cost off. Maybe you don't want to allow the driver to have that much money towards fuel. Maybe you want to set a limit on how much the driver could spend in the truck stops. A credit card tends to just give you the numbers and you just let that driver go. You maybe it has some analytics, but it's not giving you what you need to be an efficient business. So if that's something that you have to do, hey, I got this credit card, this is what I need to do to help my business to run, and I don't qualify for a fuel card, and it's just not in a budget right now, you can do that. But is that the most efficient and effective way to run your business? Absolutely not. Um, if you guys have been watching me, what I always say is that I don't do anything that does not provide me analytics. And that analytics means that I don't want you to give me a statement that says I spent fuel with this amount of money. No, I want you to give me nice graphs and charts that says, oh, in this quarter you did this, in this quarter you did this, and truck number one is doing this much money than truck number two. Those are the things that you need to move your business ahead, and no one's really paying attention to that.
Yes, and that makes perfect sense too. Gas cards are very fuel cards are a very specific use, so it allows you to further drill down on just fuel costs. While a credit card can be for snacks and other type of
Correct.
purchases
So
that
if you got a driver that wants to buy some snacks, how do you know?
right.
How do you know if that driver's buying snacks on your dime? And we didn't
Exactly.
get into business to buy driver snacks. We
This is true.
we we are in business to make this fuel run efficiently. Now, if you want to give your driver an allowance, um, at the like for certain things, maybe it's maintenance that they have to do, then yes, you can give your driver an allowance, and that fuel card would allow you to, hey, let me free up some of this money. Let me
Mhm.
give that driver some of this money for the allowance. Maybe your driver needs some extra cash to get some food throughout the week. That could be done, but a credit card doesn't allow you that much flexibility. It's kind of like the difference between, um, and I don't know if this relates completely, but the difference between a regular account and a trucker's account. You want to have someone that is specific for your industry. So a credit card isn't specific for your industry as opposed to a fuel card, which is utilized the same way a credit card is, but it has those extra stipulations because it is familiar with the transportation industry.
That's an excellent point, and you always have to get the professional, someone who's seen it more than once, because although there could be other exposures to it, very much like with insurance, when you have someone who specifically writes truckers insurance more often than they write other types of insurance, they know what is common, what's not common. They know how to take shortcuts, how to save you money, how to bring up things that someone who doesn't deal with it on a regular wouldn't. So great information. Thank you again so much for being on here with those tips. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the other promos and initiatives that you have going on right now?
Yes. So I have, you guys know I do tax preparation, of course, tax preparation, bookkeeping, but I've launched and I have in place my CFO membership program, and it helps you to scale to seven figures. And what I mean about scaling to seven figures is that we are out here and we're looking at how to open a trucking business, how to hire these people, how to do how to get more loads, and no one's looking at the money. No one's looking at the reports. So
Mhm.
in this group, I show you guys how to look at the reports. I do not allow you to tell me you have a gut feeling about something went wrong. No, I do not give advice without reports being ran. And what I'm finding is over the years is that no one is running reports, and you are you the whole time you're like, oh my god, I don't know how I went out of business, and your reports were telling you every week, every month, that something is wrong, may they fix it, and you did not just go out of business. So I've created this community where I show you how to do it from a financial perspective, um, from what accounts to open, to how to read your reports, how to be solidified, and what to look for if something is bleeding in your business, how to get an when is it right to get a new truck, what does that look like.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. That's really like business 101, to be honest. I mean, you have to
Say
know
what
what
the
the
truck
numbers say and make data-driven decisions. And so often the information's there. We just don't know how to read it. So that's a great resource. So please share that link to your group so that we can follow up and join and just get that information, because that is business 101. When you write a formal business plan, the financials are there for a reason, and that's why they're there. But you have to know where to get the information, how to read it, and what it's actually telling you,
Yes.
as far as those next decisions. So in closing, what would be like your biggest takeaway? What is the biggest misconception out there about hiring an accountant or bookkeeper to help in your operations. For the person that says, you know what, I could do it. I just reconcile my bank account by myself, and if there's money there, if the account hasn't bounced, then what's the problem? What do you tell someone like that?
I would say to that person, you need to join my CFO program, my CFO membership, because um, you may not be to the point where you're ready to do it. This membership teaches you how to do it and lets you recognize when you're able to step back. So I legit go in and I teach you what I know. Your brain, like literally, I go in and I say, okay, this is what you need. These are the reports you need to run. This is what the reports are saying. I teach you so that when you are ready to step out and be a part of your own, no one can BS you. Because right now you can talk to an accountant and it's just like, oh, that's the price and you're willing to pay it, but you haven't looked at your numbers to see if you can afford to pay it. Um, yes, an accountant is very important, but it's also important for you to learn what is going on with your books. Now, I do have clients that I work with, they're like, I don't want to do it. And if you are ready to, I take on that whole burden. That is a premium rate, but sometimes you have to get your footing and have to get in there where you want to just start the learning curve first before you can go in and hire your accountant. Now, if you are a company that is already making multiple six figures, my advice to you is to quit playing and get someone that specializes in what you're doing, because you could be just uh, you could working with an accountant could really cut down your learning curve, and it can allow you to scale your business faster when you're really the problem is I see a lot of business they're stepping over dollars to save pennies. It's not worth it. I want you to have your time freedom back, your stress back, your your time and your freedom back. You got into trucking to build a legacy, and companies are working 16 hours a day trying to build a legacy, and they can't even look up to build their business because they're being worker bees. You want to be a CEO. We got in business to be a CEO. Jeff Bezos is not running Amazon. He set it up to run properly, to step away. And that is why you need to be able to step away. And I think I got a little bit off the question, but yes, it's important to have an account.
Yes, yes. I mean, you got off a little bit off of it, but you went back and got a huge nugget from where, that knowledge tree behind you, and that's a big one. The biggest difference in an individual business and a true, business is the ability to scale. Each one of us has the same amount of time as individuals, but when you set up systems that are able to allow you to duplicate your efforts, to be automated, and you can now spend time focused on your area versus having to take care of all these other things that have to happen. And even just know that you're doing it with a professional that has maybe a higher level of understanding than you. And it's okay to say that. We can be great at so many things, but none of us are truly perfect at all things. So that's the benefits of working with a professional. Again, want to be respectful of your time as we approach our 30-minute mark. Thank you so much for this nugget. Please share all your contact information in the group, and you guys take advantage of this. Many of the people in the group have kind of expressed frustrations of not knowing where to get the information. Well, I've brought it right here in front of you. So you can never say that you didn't know anymore, because she just told you, we gave you instructions, we're laying out those paths, but it's going to be up to you to follow through. So thank you again, and you guys be blessed. Thank you again for watching. I didn't, unfortunately, like I said, this kind of is just showing a delay, and I didn't see any other questions and comments on here. We do have some people following us. We've been having about 8 to 10 people kind of watching the entire time. So I'm pretty sure you'll have some feedback on there if you can kind of stay tuned and watched out for that for us. But thank you again. And I'm going to go ahead and turn everything off, if that's okay. I'm going to end our
Yes.
recording